Is never what is straight from the very first breath, because I don't believe in warming up when the house is already on fire. Apparently, in this town, the problem is never what happened. The problem is who noticed. Because every time the truth walks into the room wearing receipts, suddenly folks want to talk about tone, about decorum, about whether we're being too harsh. Funny how nobody asked that when power is being misused, when public trust is treated like a disposable napkin, when accountability gets ghosted like a bad Tinder date. We are told again that this is all just distraction, that we should focus on the real issues. And I always find that fascinating, because somehow the real issue is never the people in charge acting like rules are optional if you sit close enough to the throne. Let's be clear. This isn't about gossip. It's about patterns. It's about a culture that says loyalty matters more than law. Obedience matters more than ethics, and silence matters more than truth. It's about the same tired script where power shrugs, smiles, and asks us to look the other way, preferably while clapping. And I know the reflex. I can hear it already. But what about the other side? Baby, if hypocrisy paid taxes, we'd have universal health care by now. This isn't a partisan problem. This is a character problem. This is what happens when accountability gets labeled as an inconvenience and integrity is treated like a personality flaw. What really amazes me is how quickly the goalposts move. First is that didn't happen. Then it's, okay, maybe it happened, but it's not illegal. Then it's everyone does it. And finally, my personal favorite, it's why are you so obsessed with this? I'm not obsessed. I'm consistent. Consistent in believing that public service is not a personal playground. Consistent in believing that if you can't handle oversight, you shouldn't hold authority. Consistent in believing that if your defense requires minimizing the standard, then the standard was never yours to begin with. We keep being told this is normal, that this is politics, that this is just how things work. And I reject that with my whole chest, because normalization is how corruption puts on sweatpants and gets comfortable. Normalization is how accountability dies quietly while everyone pretends not to notice the smell. Let's talk about priorities, since everyone loves that word. If the priority is protecting people instead of institutions, then scrutiny isn't the enemy, it's the job. If the priority is democracy instead of ego, then transparency isn't an attack, it's a requirement. And here's the part they really don't like. Sunlight doesn't pick sides, it just reveals. So no, I'm not going to whisper. I'm not going to pretend this is small. I'm not going to act surprised when the same behavior produces the same consequences. And I'm definitely not going to apologize for demanding better from people who ask for power, because leadership isn't proven when things are easy. It's proven when the excuses run out. And if that makes anyone uncomfortable, maybe sit with that feeling. Accountability tends to do that, especially to those who aren't used to it. Let me get this straight from the very first breath.